Today I'm going to destroy my gaming PC by using the graphics from Minecraft. Now how am I going to do this video exactly? To show you exactly how my gaming PC goes from about 200 FPS, which you're seeing right now, all the way to literally 0 FPS. Well, I'm going to progressively add more and more high resolution texture packs, higher resolution shaders, and then add the Distant Horizon mod to literally cook the gaming PC in order to show you exactly what kind of PC I have. So let's begin. Just default Minecraft, no texture packs, no shaders, nothing. And the frame rate is good enough for supporting a 240Hz or even 280Hz gaming monitor. I feel like this is going to be the best FPS that I'm going to have. Because now it's literally time to introduce the first shader of the entire video, which is going to be Silder's Enhanced Default on Fast. And that's basically level 1 out of the many levels that I'm going to use in order to destroy my gaming PC. So with the lowest quality shader that I'm going to use by this whole video, my FPS already, wow, dropped from 240 to literally below 60. Sometimes even below 50, 40, almost 30, 67. But yeah, literally this gaming PC, it's already really cooked. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The RTX 5060 is not repaired completely yet, so I need to fix it. And also, I am using a GTX 1650 and a 14600K with 32GB of RAM in order to make this video possible. And also shooting in 1440p, so in a way, it kind of lacks a bit of FPS because I'm shooting into a higher resolution than 1080p. But at the same time, I believe that this is going to be the perfect resolution for most gamers, So yeah, this is basically going to be level 1. So now we're going to add level 2. The level 2 includes fresh moves, connected textures, all of them, enchanted items, dramatic skies, fresh food, and Faithful 32X with fresh animations on top. The latest version. And for the shader, I'm going to use the fancy edition of the Silder's Enhanced Default. So now the FPS should definitely slow down a bit because of the texture pack and the actual animations. And yeah, I can feel like 40 FPS really consistently. And below 30, maybe 30, 45. Okay, that's good. But yeah, this gaming PC is already suffering enough. Look at the delay of my moves. Like literally, I'm moving it a little bit faster than you see it, and it's already lagging so much. This is so stupid to believe that this gaming PC actually delivers this performance with 32 gigs of RAM and also with the GTX. Yeah, I think the processor is enough to support this, so I'm not going to upgrade the processor, but the GPU is definitely going to show me the FPS that I've missed for the past 3.5 years. So yeah, this is literally level, I think 2, or 3, because I started with the vanilla. So now let's just switch the shader from Silder's Enhanced Default to Makeup Ultra Fast with no effects, and let's see the FPS right now. The Silder's Enhanced Default slow the PC. Well, this one is keeping it a little bit higher, to maybe 40% higher than before, and it is completely playable. But it's with the lowest settings, so it kind of gives me BSL vibes, as well as, well, BSL complementary and bound vibes, because, I'm just going to keep the day out because I don't want to see this footage into the night because it's going to look so bad. But yeah, this is basically daytime with the Makeup Ultra Fast shader and 32 by 32 resolution of texture packs with fresh animations. And also checking out the food, which is, well, this. And also using the first person mod in order to make the game even laggier, because this is literally myself. So you're welcome for that. But okay, it's time to bump up the resolution once again from 32x to 64x. Now we doubled every single one of the textures from the vanilla game into this, and to pair it up with the medium version of this shader. So now we are on to the Makeup Ultra Fast medium, and you can see that we're pretty much back to the Silder's Enhanced Default fast settings with the 32 by 32 faithful. So yeah, it pretty much just takes me back, but it looks so much better than before because it has so many more details. And I really appreciate the fact that this is just the medium version, because we're about to bump it to the complementary and even to the highest intensity shader pack that I've ever used, and it's going to literally crash my PC after ending this video. So keep watching to find that out. So about the FPS, it's again consistently between 30 and 50 FPS. So not 60 anymore, but that's fine because now it's time to change the shader settings all the way to high depth of field, the highest setting that this shader can support, with depth of field enabled, and it looks absolutely amazing. The clouds don't look the most realistic, but they look amazing anyways, and the shadows are now majorly improved compared to the first shader we used. So now the shader is literally pushing about the same FPS, even though we added depth of field and a bit of higher detail in every single way. So I'm pretty satisfied, but at the same time 30 FPS with the shader is pretty much just the bottleneck. So now instead of using Makeup Ultra Fast, I'm actually going to use the shader that most people use by today's standards, the most popular shader ever to exist with the potato settings, complementary unbound shaders. So now, by using 64X and this shader, again, about 40 to 60 FPS and even lower sometimes, but pretty consistent 45 FPS, 50 FPS, kind of 55-ish, 60-ish. But it's not completely buttery smooth, and this is the lowest setting of the shader, so I don't think this is going to get better than the previous one. But you know, I'm going to try, okay? I'm just going to try my best to improve the FPS, and also to check out the reflections of these things, because now the items actually have reflections compared to the previous ones. So now with this complementary shader, is the fact that it has some sort of PBR reflections, no matter what texture pack I'm using, it will still look like an amazing texture pack with the shader. So now that we use the complementary low, let's switch it up to medium. Alright, so we have the medium version of the shader now, including the shadows and the better detail. And oh my gosh, already with the medium shader already reaching 25 to 20 FPS. Yep, and again, yep. No, just okay. So I had to disable the first person mode to get actually better FPS once again, and also to show you the reflections. But I don't think this is going to be affected until we reach the high version of this, which is next. So now that we saw the FPS increase, let's increase it all the way to the default settings, the high setting. And now you can see the reflections into the gold ingot, as well as the raw gold, kind of, as well as the golden carrot. You cannot see it too much, but I can kind of see a bit of shader reflection by the actual shader itself, as well as the enchanted golden apple. So yeah, it's pretty much looking like an amazing upgrade compared to the previous ones, but it's still lacking some FPS. So by that, let's just increase it all the way to the high setting, the ultra, which is alright. I had to do this twice because the first time I did this it didn't work. So now you can see that the shader, it's literally destroying my FPS by I don't know what factor, but I'm not getting even 10 FPS anymore. I'm getting sub 10 and I'm getting 5. That is just unplayable by this point. Even though I used 64X, it's not even that intense. It's not even with PBR. That's literally the shader itself impacting my GTX 1650 from over 8 years ago or something like that. So yeah, you can actually see now that my graphics card is struggling and it's getting 7 FPS. And even if I look up, if I go here, I'm getting 10 FPS maximum. But that's going to do it with this texture pack and the shader. So now let's just switch these things from basic ones all the way to... So let's just switch the extremely laggy shader from complementary to the next one, which is going to be Photon, which is the new Bliss counterpart. So by this, we are using ultra settings. So if I'm going to show you what is going to render my entire PC, so this is what is actually rendering inside of my PC, and you can pretty much see that the FPS has not changed whatsoever. It's actually a little bit higher, but not too much, all because I'm using the same exact graphics. So it's the ultra setting of this shader plus 128 texture packs with the rounded versions of each one. And look at the wood. That looks, I mean, it's not perfect, but it looks really good. I'm going to make a video about this when I'm getting the graphics card, but this is incredibly realistic. If I had a few mods to make the ground actually have no cubes, it would look even more realistic, but this is even better because it's actually still making the Minecraft look like a Minecraft game. But yeah, we only have 2 more tiers after this. So after figuring out what this did, let's switch from this to Bliss. So say goodbye to the photon and say hello to the green fog of this amazing shader pack, Bliss, which is actually not looking too bad compared to the photons one. So now you can look at the water and appreciate, look at the parallax and the reflections and even the distortion underneath. This looks awesome. This looks absolutely spectacular, but lacking the FPS again to about 20ish FPS. But the fog and the way that the PBR works with the golden ingots again. Look at the PBR into the gold. That is awesome. And even into the raw gold. Look at this. And the carrot is not because it's using the 3D model, but I'm going to deactivate that once I'm getting into the actual video. So this is literally 1 tier before I'll crash the game. So let's just use the highest intensity mode that I've ever going to use. And by that, I'm going to load Distant Horizons with all of the crap that I've ever used. Alright, and now with this, the final component is the GPU's grainy vision, because my PC now has actually taken so long until it's actually reaching below 5 FPS, even lower than the highest settings with the complementarium. Yeah, so my Minecraft world just crashed because I used so many graphics. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something about my graphics card being repaired. I really wish that I get 25,000 subscribers by the end of 2026, and peace out.